Okay, everyone, I just started recording, so take it away, Vivian.
Okay, awesome. So as we said earlier, can you move to the next slide, please? This is our joint secretary and webmaster training. We'll be going over some cool spreadsheet hacks, Google Forms, anything you might need to know to help you on your job as a secretary or a webmaster. So this is basically our agenda for the day. We're going to start off with an introduction, afterwards attendance and membership form and spreadsheet, and then officer contact information spreadsheet, and lastly, hours form and spreadsheet. So this is our brief introduction. My name is Vivian Tai. I'm a senior at Garland High School and I'm your district secretary. Alina?
Sorry, I just had to find the unmute button. I'm Alina. I'm the tech producer for this year, and I'm also from Garland High School.
So what I'm going to go over first is an attendance, membership, forms, and spreadsheet, as well as officer contact spreadsheet. So I'm going to be using Google Forms and Sheets.
I'm also going to be using Google Forms and Sheets, and I'm also going to show you spreadsheet hacks to make your life a lot easier, especially for secretaries, in terms of recording hours, documenting hours, calculating hours. Using this type of program in your Google Sheets will allow you to not have to like do all of the tedious work behind adding all of the hours up and stuff like that. So essentially you'll be programming a self-functioning hours spreadsheet.
And so before I get started, I just wanted to say if you have any questions at any time, feel free to put it in the chat or to unmute. Alina and I will be trying to answer the chat messages as quickly as possible. I also know that today's the monthly report deadline if you're a secretary. So if you have any burning last minute questions, feel free to drop those in the chat as well, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so attendance forms and spreadsheets. So what you want to have on here for sure, just to make sure that you have everything that you need for your minutes. So for members, name, grade, ID number, like your school ID number, if that will be helpful. And also the meeting date, so that you know how many members attended that meeting specifically. For officers, you want your name, grade, and position, ID and position, whether that meeting was a board meeting or a general meeting, and then also the meeting date. And so I'm going to share my screen right now and show you guys what this template looks like. Okay, can you all see my screen? Good. Okay, awesome. So this is like a template that I made that I thought would be just like a really basic and easy way to document attendance and membership as well. So over here, we have like members. I split them up by grade. I know some clubs have a massive amount of members. So if that is your club, you don't have to necessarily put all grades onto one sheet. Down here, you can add another sheet and just copy and paste everything that you have over here. So you can have even a freshman sheet, sophomore sheet, etc. But since this demo, I made like a really small club, so I just put everything onto one sheet. And so what I did was I just put a total membership count at the bottom because your monthly report will ask for that. So make sure you do know your total amount of members. I have the ID of each person right here and their grade. To get, I don't know if you noticed, but if I scroll this way, this column is frozen. And so the way I do that is view and freeze. And so you can freeze up to 2 rows. For example, if I wanted to freeze these 2 over here, I could freeze up to 2 columns. And now both of these things don't move when I scroll. Over here, the meeting dates, I just put like X /X, but you would fill it in with your actual meeting date. And the way that this can track attendance is that, for example, you can have someone like an officer at your meeting just go around and have people come to them and state their name, and then you can check them off like this. And so at the end, you can see how many people didn't go. And if a member was to ask you, hey, do you know what meetings I attended this year? You could tell them exactly what meetings by looking at this row. And so this can be really helpful for attendance, but the way that I use this for membership, especially for the membership update center, is that you have each name and whatever grade they're in. And so when they ask you for the year that the person is graduating, you know exactly what year it is and you know their grade. So it's just like an attendance membership 2-in-1 type thing. And I think that you don't necessarily need 2 spreadsheets if you can do it with 1. So that was like my efficient way of putting them together. And so onto the officers. Almost the exact same thing, except we have a bit more detail over here. We also have their position, their email, and their phone number. The reason I have email and phone number on here is because for the COCI, or Club Officer Contact Information Directory, which each LTG has to collect for all of their clubs, they ask for the officer's email and phone number in addition to their name and grade and position. And so this would be a really efficient way of having all of the officers' contact information into the same spreadsheet. And if you wanted to share, like make a copy of this sheet in particular and share it with your LTGs so that they can have your contact information, they would definitely appreciate it. And so another thing that's different about this one from the members is that I color coded over here for board meeting and general meetings. You can do whatever colors you want, obviously, but I just made like an example. So for example, board meeting would be green and general meeting would be purple. And same concept, you just check off. And this way, it's also really obvious if one officer or like any officers really didn't attend a lot of the meetings because it's a visual representation. And so that way it's just great for documenting attendance. And just in case the secretary doesn't quite catch the attendance for that particular meeting, then they can do so by verifying it on the spreadsheet. And so a way that you can connect it to Google Forms, if you didn't want to have someone stand at the meeting and mark attendance, especially if your club is like huge, you can insert a forms. So if I click insert and form, it'll open up Google Forms and then I can get attendance using Google Forms. So I'm just going to do that super quickly right here. And so I'll have name, and Google Forms is super smart. Like they can change whatever type of answer choice you want. But so I'll just have their person's name, their grade, and make sure you put everything as required. And then just also their ID number. And Google Forms is making sure that their ID number is an actual number. So just make everything required. This is a very basic form, but you can do more details than that. I didn't put the meeting date on here because Google Forms automatically tracks the time and date that the form was submitted. So I'm just going to pretend, I'm going to copy a link to this and pretend that I am a member signing in. I'll just put my name, I'm a senior, and my ID number and submit it. And so what happens when I go back to the spreadsheet, there's going to be another sheet that pops up right here. It's titled Form Responses. So now I can see that someone signed in as Vivian on today at 9:14 a.m., their grade and their ID number. So how this can be helpful is you can copy this exact spreadsheet over here. And what I like to do is split screen it. And so if I have, I'm not sure if you guys can see the split screen, but if I have my screen with one on the sheet with all of the Google Forms data, and then another one on the one with the members. Like so, I can just go down and check people. So it might be a lot more efficient since everyone is having online meetings this year, and it tracks the exact time, the exact date for you, so no one can cheat per se and sign in at a different time than the meeting was actually held. And Google Forms, I'm not exactly sure what the limit is on responses, but I do know that there's probably not a really low limit. And so if you, even if you do have like 500 members, you can definitely track everything through Google Forms. So does anyone have any questions? I hope that was helpful. And I will share that template with everybody. Okay, so the officer contacts information part, I basically already went over that as I went over the template, but as I said, you just need your email, grade, position, your email, and your phone number, which is really important for the club officer contact information directory. And again, make sure that this contact information is relayed to your LTG. If you don't know who your LTG is, just text me through Remind or send a message to the chat and I'll look it up for you real quickly along with their email. But it's imperative that your LTGs have the information so that people from the board, the district board, can send updates and information to you directly.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the hours form part, and this is going to take up like the majority of our time. So let me share this template with y'all so you guys can make a copy of it and we can work on it like together. So, okay, so I just shared the link in the chat. So if you guys could please like open that and then make a copy. So the way you make a copy is you guys should be able to see these three dots over here. Just click that and press make a copy. And this will be making a copy for your own club. So you might want to make sure that you're signed into your school account or whatever account you use like for your key club. So your school key club, email, for instance. But just make a copy and I'll give you guys a little bit of time to do that. And then we'll just like go through this really quickly. And then I'll show you the like spreadsheet technical side of it. And if you are a secretary and your webmaster is here, you guys can collaborate on this together because it does take a lot of time, especially formatting the spreadsheet part. Essentially what we're going to be doing for the hours spreadsheet is we're going to be making like an individual file for each key clubber. Whenever like secretaries are like counting hours, it's important that they keep track of each person's hours, like just keeping a file on what hours they've put into that person's like hours count, if that makes any sense. So essentially we'll be doing the same thing except online. So like secretaries will have a way to trace back the hours count online for each member. Okay, so once everyone has done that, if you guys can like split your screen, so half of it is showing the Zoom call and half of it is showing this hours form, like the copy that you made, then I think that would be most beneficial. Okay, so first thing, I made this section. So this is just a section collecting basic information like your name, your ID number, your grade, and what you did. So for selecting your name, what I suggest is to create a drop-down list of all the names of your key clubbers. So you can section it off by like seniors, juniors, freshmen, sophomores, and that will make it easier for whenever you want to add a new option underneath and kind of sort it into like a seniors list or like seniors group, juniors group, etc. Let me admit someone. Okay. And then I asked for ID number. So an important thing about showcasing hours online is to keep like the amount confidential. I think that I don't know if that's a policy at everyone's school, but that is a policy at our school. So we show the hours count like by ID number. So the member has to identify himself, herself, themselves through their ID number in order to figure out what their hours count is. And then I just said grade, select what you did. So this might be a thing at our school. I don't know if you guys like delineate hours based on donations or just like volunteering. But I just did that, and I'll explain like what you guys should do if you guys don't have like the separation in hours. Okay, and then so in this particular question, based on the response that the key clubber gave, wait, there's someone in the chat. Yes, I will resend the link. Okay. Based on what the person responded, it will take them to another section of the form. So I don't know why there are two sections of the same thing here, so I'm just going to delete section 2. Okay, so now we should be looking at donation hours. So at our school, we do donation hours. So I just basically ask, what items did you donate? What quantity, what amount did you donate? How many hours you would get, like based on the donations hours conversion. So for instance, if the hours formula is like 5 cans for 1 hour and someone donates 15 cans, then they would receive 3 hours. And then what date they donated. The third section is if the member selected volunteer. So it just asks, what event did you volunteer at? Where did the event take place? What date was it on? What time did you arrive and leave? And how many hours did you get, or how many hours will you receive in total? Just to make sure that they were kind of there and actually participating in the event, actively volunteering. I included this, what did you do at the event? And just some feedback here, rate this event, any comments or feedback. And then also if it was a requirement that there was at least one officer present at a volunteer event, you can list the officers here, and the key clubber can just be like, oh, okay, I saw Alina here, so I'll just check her name off. And that will count as one piece of verification. Okay, this step is really extra, but if your school is like more strict on hours policy, then this is the way to go. So in the past, when you had like paper forms for hours, like you guys had to collect a supervisor signature, right? So now that everything's online, I try to find a way to collect or just make sure that the supervisor can verify your attendance. And the way to do so is through one of the add-ons on Google Forms. So you'll basically be sending an email with the responses of this hours form to the given organization representative / supervisor email. I guess I'll kind of show a demo after this. But what you'll need is to add an add-on. So to do that, I think you click the three dots over here. You click add-ons, and the add-on that you should be adding if you're interested in this feature is email notifications for Google Forms. So once you get there, wait a minute. Okay, I don't really know why it's acting up on me right now because I checked it earlier and it was fine. But okay, I'll like troubleshoot that in a bit. But basically what it would do is after a key clubber submits all of this information, it would send a copy of their responses to this email. And what you could ask that like supervisor to do is to like look at what they responded and confirm by like sending back replying all using the reply all feature on email to confirm just like please use the reply all function to confirm that so and such was at this meeting and earned this many hours. And then lastly, this is another piece of verification. You guys definitely don't have to do all of this. I'm just showing you guys what you could do, but submit at least one piece of photo evidence to verify your donation or volunteer work. And this is especially handy. I think this is probably like the best way to document hours or like verify. This not only helps you like see them at the event, but also the historian and the editor, so you guys can get more pictures on your newsletters or on your website, etc. Okay. Dylan says, I keep getting a pop-up that says the folder containing responses to file upload questions can't be found. This form won't resume collecting responses until the folder is restored. I'm not sure why it's saying that, but it could be because your school might not allow you to have the upload file feature on Google Forms, but I'm not 100% sure. Avani said, just click restore. I don't think it does anything. It didn't for me. Okay, so now that we kind of went through the hours form itself, I'm going to show you how to connect a spreadsheet to it. So go to responses. You can put or click select response destination and then create a new spreadsheet for it. So just click create, and then I will send my template for the spreadsheet to you guys so you guys can see what I'm doing. So you can't make a copy of my template because then it wouldn't, I guess it wouldn't, the responses wouldn't fit based on like the hours form that you created. So I'm just sending my template to y'all so you guys can see what features that I used on it and how you guys can use the same thing to format your spreadsheet. So I'm gonna share that in the chat. And then let me know if I need to go back and clarify something because I know this is really confusing for newer people, I guess. It took me a long time to kind of like figure everything out and work out the kinks. So please feel free to ask questions. Okay. So I'll just kind of go through this first, and then I'll fill out an example form and show you guys how everything should be done, or like how everything should work out. Okay. So whenever you create or whenever you connect a spreadsheet to your forms, you should be getting this form. It says like timestamp, and then it includes everything, like all of the questions that you asked on the forms, and it just puts it on the spreadsheet. So basically, what I do when I create an individual file for like a key clubber is I distinguish like whose is who by their name. So let me get into that real quick. Okay, Sophia, which link do you need? The link to the form template or the link to the spreadsheet template? Both, okay. I think this one should be the form template. Okay. So as you can see down here, I made an individual file using my name. So I click Alina Dam, and then I go to timestamp. So here you want to kind of copy this formula so that it will sort the form responses one sheet for my name, where C equals Alina Dam, and then it will sort the responses here. And then here I have the sum of I8 to I100, and I8 to I100 is right here, and it's under the question how many hours, specifically for the donations. So that's kind of where I got the I from, because it's in the I column. And then here I got the total number of volunteer hours, and similarly to the donation hours, it's just the sum of O8 to O100, and that's because the number of volunteer hours will be calculated from here in the O column. And the question for that is, how many hours did you volunteer in total? And then for the total number of hours, I will just add H5, because right here, like this gray area, not really gray area, but like if you link these together, then it appears here. So I just add H5, which is the total number of donation hours, plus the total number of volunteer hours, which is J5. So you just need to kind of like know where it intersects with each other, and that will help you out immensely. Okay, and then on the master spreadsheet, which is, I guess this is kind of what you would show to your key clubbers like online or in public, is this, because it just categorizes the hours by grade level and ID number. I would just do equals Alina Dam. So this is the name of the spreadsheet. So I would just put the name of the spreadsheet here, and then L5. So L5 here is the total number of hours. So basically each time I submit a response, it will automatically calculate my total number of donation hours, total number of total number of donation hours, or total number of volunteer hours, which will then calculate my total number of hours, which will then transfer to the master spreadsheet and show me my total number of hours. Okay, that was a mouthful. Does that like make sense? This is kind of how it's a self-functioning template, forms template. Okay. Can you go back to the first formula you showed? Yes. So the first formula I showed is this one. It's equal query, and then you need to make sure you use the apostrophe. It just makes sure that everything inside of the apostrophe is read together and not separately. So apostrophe form response is 1, which is just taken from the really big form response that collects all of the responses from the form. B2 to Y. So in this case, B2 to Y is just like right here, B2 all the way to Y, because that's kind of like up to the extent that the questions ask you, like how many questions there are. And then quotations, select space asterisk space where C equals apostrophes Alina Dam, and then you need to make sure you also have the end quotation there and an end parentheses. So basically, I'm just sorting it out by the name from the big response. So whatever name appears here, if it's Alina Dam, then it will automatically transfer over to this sheet. So let me just like demonstrate it because I think it's so fascinating. So I'll just, oh, why is that there? Did I delete my name? Yeah, okay, let me just do it again. Okay. So I'll just do it real quick and I'll show you guys how it works and how you can troubleshoot it if anything happens. So I'm in 12th grade and let's say that I donated something. So I donated, I just said 15 cans earlier, so oops, this should be cans, this should be 15, this should be 3, and I'll just do today's date. Oh, something I forgot to mention. Okay, so after like submitting donation hours, for instance, you can make it transfer automatically to the verification section. That way you don't have to like, you don't have to make someone who only donated something fill out the service hours form as well. And yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that I'm the organization representative. I'm just gonna include that, and then I'll use my personal email and then show you like the response that I generated off of that. And I'm not gonna do that. I'll add a file. Let's see, I just added some random pictures, so let's just do this. And then by submitting this form, I attest to all the information included, that all the information included is correct and true. Print your full name to virtually sign. Okay, submit. So I hope this works and I'm not humiliated, but let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's. Okay. I don't know if this is linked to the right form. This is so embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I will just select the destination, select existing spreadsheet and see if that will work. Okay, so since I just added a new spreadsheet over here, it says form responses 2. I'm just gonna go over here and do form responses 2 instead of form responses 1. And so since this starts at A, I need to change it, or I'll just add 1 to the left. Okay, yay, so it just put everything in for me. So I got there, and then based on the number of hours that I put in the donation spot, it will automatically transfer over up here to total number of donation hours. And then it just adds 3 and 0. And so that becomes 3 for the total number of hours. And then on the master spreadsheet, what? Okay. So I just had to redo that formula because it wouldn't show up the right way, but the total number of hours is 3. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, would you have to code every member's name for each formula? yes, because you want to make an individual spreadsheet for each person. So let's say I just need to duplicate this, and I'll just use Vivian's name. So Vivian, and here I would have to change kind of the name here because I don't want all of my data going into her spreadsheet. So I need to change it to Vivian's High. And so it's not available here because she hasn't submitted anything. So you need to do that for all of the other members, which is really tedious, but at the end of the day, if you don't need to go through the hours form multiple times, and I think it is worth it to have everything formatted. Like I said, if you have the help of like your webmaster, you guys can do it together, and it takes a lot less time. You just need to like duplicate it, change the formula here, change the name, erase this stuff, and that's basically it. And then on the master spreadsheet, you need to do the same. You need to link their, you need to find their ID number and then make sure you link it to the right name and in the right spot. So is that making sense? I know I went like a little bit fast and it seems like it was malfunctioning the first couple minutes. Will the master form automatically update hours when someone submits a form? Yes, so that is precisely the reason why I tried to find a way to do this. Once someone submits a form, then it will automatically sort out into the individual's name and then calculate their total number of hours, and then it will automatically put it on the master spreadsheet under this hours thing because you just put a program for it. You didn't have to go back and update it. It's just something that just happens automatically when the person submits a form. But something that I advise against is to share this whole like template response master spreadsheet with like online, because the thing is you can see, hold on, you can see like the person's name, the person's information, contact information, and their hours stuff. So what I recommend is you use this responses template only for your secretaries and within your board. And then you can just copy all of this stuff and put it on another spreadsheet that you can show to the public. And that way you guys won't like, be revealing any confidential information for each of your members just out on the web. So the person's ID, would the person's ID be on the master spreadsheet like automatically? No. I mean, you could find a way to engineer that if you just did like, if you wanted to do here, this equals D8 or something. Like you could just do that and that would be really easy. Yeah. If you did that on the master spreadsheet though, I guess you could also do the same thing, but you need to include that person's name there. I personally think it's easier to just copy and paste it just to make sure there's no mistake of that. Okay, are there any questions so far? How would we share every member's personal form to them? Would we have to share it one by one? I'm not 100% sure what you mean, but since you have each of these people's file on record, then if they do contact, like if say I contact the secretary, then you could just like share a screen with them and show them what exactly you see. Like this should not be distributed to them. They shouldn't be able to see this unless they contact you. or if they have like any concerns about their hours, stuff like that. Also on the template, I included comments here with each of the formulas that I use, so you guys can just copy it and see what I did so you guys can replicate the same thing. And if you guys are ever having experiencing any trouble within Google Sheets, you can always reach out to me, or you can try to find a solution online. It's very methodical, so you guys should be able to figure it out if you understand like what the formulas mean. But yeah, other than that, it should be self-sufficient for the most part. Is the form or spreadsheet going on our website? So I would say only post the form, like the hours form, on your website. This spreadsheet with everyone's name, like say you were to include everyone's name here and all the form responses, this should only be kept within the board, more specifically within the hands of your secretary or secretaries. What I would say is to create another copy or just create another Google Sheets to post all the hours info on it from this master spreadsheet. So I'll just demonstrate that real quick. So I'll just go to Google, add a sheet. And then if I just make some, so if I just like make a copy here, so copy, and then post it here. But I'm gonna right click and then press paste but special, and pasting the values only, so not the formatting, because you know how I did like equal apostrophe Alina Dam apostrophe exclamation point L5. That gives me the value, the actual value of the hours. So I just paste the format or paste the values, and then it should show up right here. So it tells me that, okay, 384680 has 3 hours. So I can be like, oh, okay, so yeah, I have 3 hours, and that's right. So your secretary would have to keep this updated probably. But for the most part, I think that hours keeping will be a game changer once you kind of develop this feature or integrate it into your system. Okay, so like Vivian said earlier, all the templates covered today are linked on this presentation, which we will be sharing out later, and in the description box of the training video on our YouTube channel, and we'll be posting the recording to this training later. Okay, so this basically wraps up our training. This is my email, my phone number, and my remind for all of you webmasters. If you need to contact me, and then this is Vivian's information. It has her email, her phone number, and her remind as well. So if you guys haven't joined the reminds yet, please do so. You guys can stay back for any questions. I think this is basically all of our training. Vivian, do you have anything that you want to say?
No, but thank you everyone for joining. I'm really glad y'all are here, especially early on a Saturday morning. If you're a secretary, please turn in your monthly report today because you're gonna get +5 points for turning it on time. But yeah, that's all I have. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. If you found it helpful, please put that in the chat. And thank you so much.
Okay, so someone just asked me, I know you've created this template for us ready to go, but what specific coding stuff would we have to do for ourselves? Okay, so basically what you need to do is, I'm gonna go on this form again, And basically what you would need to do for each of your members is to add a sheet here, or sorry, no, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so let's say you already made like someone's form and it looks really good and you're ready to replicate that for everyone. You just right click the name, you press duplicate, and then it'll appear like to the right of this. So you're going to change that person's name. So in this case, I'll just use, I don't know, Andrew. And so I would have to change his name here, change all this information. In terms of coding, you will need to go here and where asterisk, like select asterisk where C equals, you need to change the person's name in there so that it will filter the responses accordingly. So here I would just type in Andrew, and then that would be it. So I need to do that with the rest of the people's names, like with the rest of the members' names. It's basically all you need to do. You guys should also update phone number and school email address. Yeah. But I guess that's all you have to do in terms of coding. It's just a lot. It's just really tedious. It takes a lot of time to kind of like go through this. But I think that in the long run, it saves you time, especially when, like, I guess it's better in my opinion than having to sort through like all of the responses and then going into making sure you're adding it to the right person. This can just help you with that. Did that answer your question? Okay, great. Since some of you guys are staying back, let me see if I can figure out what's wrong with, whoa. I think someone just like changed the color. Let's see. Um,
Hey, so I have a quick question. Our club, we used to use Clubbles. I don't know if you know about that, but it was like a website made by past key clubbers to just like document members' hours. And our members kind of got used to. So what Clubbles does is that we can document um, each event that each member attended, and so like members can know what they've done throughout the year, like meetings and then which volunteering events. So like they can, put that in their resumes or for NHS applications. So is there any way that I can, show the volunteering events and like, make that correlate with like Google Form?
okay, so I guess I'll respond first. I think if you guys already have a functioning way to document hours in place, you guys don't need to use Google Forms. I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Clubbles, they shut down, and so we have to change to
Oh,
Google Form or spreadsheets.
oh, okay. I'm not really sure. Except, like, are you asking how you can retrieve, like? what you documented, or kind of how to restart what you were talking?
Yeah, it's just that I just realized that your system, they like members can't really see what they're doing throughout the year. It's just their total hours. And I just think our members got used to seeing like the events they attended. And so is there any way that our master spreadsheet can, show all of the volunteering events that the members done, and kind of link that to the Google Forms that they responded to the events they attended?
I think on the member specific spreadsheets that Alina was showing, it did show all of the responses that you put in through the years. It just doesn't put that on the master spreadsheet. So for example, if you shared the member specific spreadsheet to a member, they could see like everything that they've input into the Google Forms over the entire year. They can see all the events that they said they did that year and everything that they said that they did at the event, when it took place, how long they were there for, if that could help. I think you could also do an event drop down on the forms. So earlier, how the form looked was that you just enter what event you went to, but I'm pretty sure that you can convert, instead of entering your form, it'd be a drop down, just like the name. So you can select an event that you went to, so that people, you can see how many people went to that event, and it's more efficient that way. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and like Vivian said, if you did do a drop down for each event, then you could just like create a program there that would sort the responses based on that specific event.
Okay, how would I do that? Sorry.
You're good. And let me share my screen again. So do you see my formula here?
Yes.
Yes, so basically what you would do is you would do the same thing, except you need to change where C equals and then the name. So in this case, you would have to see like the column where like the question about events is, and then insert the event's name here. So basically what I could do is I'll just create another sheet and kind of show you. So wait, I don't need to duplicate. So I'll just add a sheet and then paste that formula here. And then it's from form responses too. So I'll include all the stuff, like all this stuff in orange stays the same. But here it gets different. So let's say the question about events is, let me just look on here and refer to the same thing. So what event did you volunteer at? So that's at K. So I'm going to do where select asterisk where K equals pancakes with Santa. So obviously I don't have anything in the form with that specific service event right now. But if I were to submit a form like with that event, then it would filter onto my name and onto that sheet for that specific event. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have any questions? I know that there was a lot that we went through, and it feels like I went through it really fast. So.
I just wanted to add on the events thing, like what volunteering event that you went to. Did she? I don't know if she. Okay, Michaela's still here. So you can also do the same thing for donations if you wanted to track how many donate, like where they donated, stuff like that. So you just do the exact same formula that Alina just did. Instead of column K, you just use whatever column that for the donations. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So really the possibilities are endless here. You can literally like filter whatever you want, like what dates even. So yeah, I think like the freedom that you have when working with Google Forms is amazing. Yeah.
Okay, thank y'all so much. I'm gonna leave now. Bye, guys. Have a great day.